This is Let's Talk Call-In Radio. Oh, it sounds so wonderful in my ears. This is Let's Talk, getting to the root causes of important issues of the day. This on-the-air community forum believes your voice matters and welcomes all thoughts and views without judgment. Please join us, won't you, in the conversation by calling 415-663-8492 or 8317. And your hosts today, I'm Paul Raphael, sitting over there, Charles Schultz.
Hi there.
Shelley Rugg.
Hello.
Stephen Hurwitz.
That's me.
And Shelley, you're feeling better?
I'm much better, thank you.
Yes. Good. We're all in the studio. We're all watching the dials go pling pling. And Amanda Eichstadt is sitting here on the board, waiting for your call.
Actually, on the board.
We want to
Awkward.
fire up
She's very nimble.
Fire up these phone faders. So today, usually we're talking about horrible things. Usually we're talking about the end of the world or civilization or humanity's depressing state. But I thought, let's talk about enjoyment, because I saw this article on a thing called Aeon, A-E-O-N, I think .co, so I don't know where it comes from, .co. And it's about enjoyment and how, certain philosophical takes on enjoyment, whether we should pursue pleasure, even if it's so fleeting. Is it worth pursuing if it's not going to last? So I thought we'd just talk about and listen and hear from our listeners about enjoyment. What do you do to get enjoyment out of life? And what are the pleasures that you seek? And I don't know. We'll just go on from there. Let's start there.
What's the number, Paul?
Well, it's 415-663-8492 or 8317. Do call in, won't you? And please, you'll hear a little noise, I guess. That'll still be all the same as you're put in the system, as Amanda puts you in the system. And wait until somebody says you are on the air. And then give us your name, and please keep it clean. Keep the language clean. Anyway, so what do you do to find pleasure, Stephen? What gives you joy in life?
I think one of it is making art. I think I enjoy that. I think it's fun to be creative.
Maybe get rid of the bill so you can get closer to the mic.
Right. Am I too far away?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I enjoy creative activities.
Art. What kind of art do you do, in case people haven't been seeing your Facebook posts?
Yeah, photography and little sculpture right now.
Yeah. Excellent.
What's your medium for sculpture?
Plaster at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Direct plaster?
It's hard for me to describe them at the moment because they're all in flux.
Okay.
Fluxy plaster.
Well, what do you say to that, Shelley? I mean, you're an artist. Would you say you do that for enjoyment, or what do you do for enjoyment?
What do I do for enjoyment?
Let's have all the details here.
All the details. Well, I think music is very enjoyable to listen to and to play. I like to sing. Mm-hmm. I like to dance.
Good.
Yeah.
And we have a caller.
We do have a caller. Caller, you're on the air. What's your name, please?
Good morning, KWMR.
Good morning.
Seattle, it's MK. Okay. I'm enjoying KWMR enormously this morning. I've been listening for hours. I have to sit on my bed and ice my poor broken up knee.
Oh, dear.
And paint. I'm painting and listening to KWMR. And I love making art too, Stephen.
There you go.
See?
Right.
That's what artists do.
Creativity. And how about you've always taken pleasure in your offspring, of course.
Of
the
course.
Joy that they bring.
Most 93.2%.
Isn't there supposed to be angst in creativity when artists were supposed to suffer?
There's angst in when you're painting with watercolor because it doesn't.
Ooh, yeah.
It speeds right along and does its own little thing.
Mm.
But I'm having pretty good luck this morning.
Oh, good.
Cool.
And you're doing it whilst lying down with a...
Well, sitting up on my new memory foam bed, which is sort of challenging. I think it's good for the abs while I'm at it.
It's a twofer.
It's a twofer or a fourfer.
You could teach a class in that in West Marin. Fitness watercolor. That's
Watercolor painting.
Yep. That's at Yoga Toast next week.
While you wait.
Yeah.
So anyway, keep up the good work, kids, and hang in there and have fun and
enjoy. Right?
Thank you, MK.
Yeah. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye now.
Take care.
Thank you. Well, so, okay, creative pursuits, qu'est-ce que c'est? Oh. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's so broad, enjoyment is a term,
Well,
right?
so, okay, yeah.
Does it encapsulate all kinds of things that people would say, ooh, you do
Are
that
you
for
having
enjoyment?
trouble with this, Charles?
Well, that's why I'm here. That's why they pay me. I'm supposed to play devil's advocate to Paul's outrageous cheerfulness. But I mean, it's just like happiness. You know, things that make some people happy, with the air quotes that you can all see at home. For other people who'd think, oh, really, that?
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know.
Yeah, creative process is scary to a lot of people.
Sure.
It's not enjoyable. It's frightening.
Or people who make great discoveries and things like that. I mean, the classic example being Marie Curie and her husband. They knew they were killing themselves in their experiments and their pursuit of this scientific discovery of radium, etc. But they were doing it anyway. So is that enjoyment? Is that happiness? It seems like they were doing something that maybe
Or passion. Yeah.
Yeah, passion, something else. So we have a call.
Well, that's certainly a kind of joy, isn't it? Yes. Hi, caller, you're on the air. What's your name, please?
Sally.
Sally.
Yeah.
We enjoy when Sally calls.
Oh, thank you. I enjoy calling, and I'm enjoying hearing the new crisp audio quality of the KWMR signal. And I also enjoy walking my dog, even though I just yanked her away from something foul.
So you interrupted the dog's enjoyment.
I enjoy interrupting her enjoyment. Apparently, I love walking her, in nature, and even though I'm on a really busy street, that's not quite as enjoyable. But reveling in nature.
Don't worry, Camilla. It's me, Charles. I'll save you. Anyway, sorry. Go on.
So yeah, I agree with everybody else that the pursuit of art, either viewing art that other people have made or making my own art, which can be actually quite frustrating. But I mean, is that kind of occasionally painful endeavor?
That ties right into what Paul was saying earlier.
Yeah, is it enjoyable, or is it that it's ultimately gratifying on another level?
Well, I think and Sally, can you speak to this? There are two things that occur to me. One is that, what we've been talking about is sort of art as therapy. But then you look at certain great works of art and say, these people were nuts and everybody died. I'm thinking of Tarkovsky's classic Stalker, in which he completely reshot the film, having fired a cinematographer. And then they were filming in a site that was deeply contaminated, so many people died as a result of exposure to these toxic chemicals. And I think including Tarkovsky himself. It's an amazing film, but, enjoyment, does that word really apply to?
No.
Well, that's commitment, and even, that's mega.
Well, earlier Paul was saying that it has to be fleeting in some way, or some people feel that it's not enjoyment unless there's these moments where you're not enjoying yourself.
Well,
did I get that right?
Yes, I think that's right. It's the texture of life, right? I mean, if you had pleasure all the time, what else would there be? It's like when you're a kid getting presents every day.
It's
maybe you'd enjoy when things go wrong.
That's a form of hell.
What?
Well, yeah, well, that's why MK does ab toning exercises while making art. That's to create that balance, I think.
Yeah, you've got to have you got to work for it. No, I mean, there's that, I don't know, is it a famous Twilight Zone episode where the guy thinks he's gone to heaven? Everything is perfect and pleasurable, but in fact, he's really gone to hell.
Yeah, I remember that.
How would you tell?
Well, that was certainly Lewis Mumford's critique of B.F. Skinner's, world in which, we'd all be with pleasurable inducements made to behave in the correct way. We'd think we're being happy and getting what we want all the time, but we'd be being managed by the state.
Right.
Like, that doesn't happen at all.
Doesn't happen at all with advertising or anything else.
No, I think that's probably what's happening with mass media and television.
No.
Yeah.
But definitely,
the opiate of the masses, for sure.
not everybody agrees on what's enjoyable.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
It's entirely subjective, isn't it? Has to be. Well, there's the thing now. There's also the enjoyment that comes from enjoying things because you think you're supposed to enjoy them.
Could you give us an example?
For me, it would be sports.
Yeah,
I guess.
the upcoming Super Bowl that we're all going to be made to watch.
Super Bowl.
Well, if everyone else is enjoying, you're supposed to enjoy it because you're an American, and sometimes people don't enjoy it, but they go along with it and they find themselves enjoying it, and that's there's
something to that.
But I'm just going to chime in since I'm in here with you guys. It's fun. But I was thinking that what I really enjoy is trail running. I love being out on the trails, and it's very freeing and it's beautiful, and we're so fortunate to have this incredible place with 150 miles of trails at our doorstep. But when you're out there, since I'm running, sometimes it's hard, and the running is sort of, I would call it a capacity building time. So, but in order to have the fitness to really enjoy it, you have to work at it. So there is sort of a creative tension within that itself, is that you got to sort of stay fit in order to do the things that you love if it involves fitness, because you can't just like hop up and go out and be a soccer star. You really you have to practice all the time, and then you have these moments where you can, when it's like, that one day where I ran 7 miles and I didn't, I felt good the whole way, and there are other times where you're like slogging up the ridge.
That's why they still call it a workout.
Yeah, a workout.
But that's more like, because I'd like to think of enjoyment as sort of maybe lower, right? I mean, because this is like, the scientist or the filmmaker that has to build up their capacity to do these things. But is that enjoyment? I don't know.
Yeah.
Mashed potatoes.
Mashed potatoes are...
That is enjoyment.
Are enjoyment.
It's accomplishment.
But I sometimes just really enjoy lying down at the end of the day and just
we all do that,
putting your feet up and just like,
My goodness, I am all about the bathtub. Yes.
Oh yes, a bathtub.
Now we're getting into it. Yeah.
There you are.
The parboiling in the hot tub and reading the New Yorker.
Oh,
there you go.
This is so hedonistic, this show.
I read the New Yorker in the sauna, of course.
It starts like small things are enjoyable.
Right.
I'm just hearing people describe the small things.
The little things that make life enjoyable.
Even better in my case, because it's not my sauna, so not my power bill, and not my subscription to the New Yorker. So really ideal.
How about food?
Well, we brought up mashed potatoes. Delicious.
Oh, that's right. No wonder I thought of that.
I'm going to leave you all.
Right.
Quickly, Sally, what food, though? What is your enjoyment food?
Avocado comes to mind.
Something more hedonistic than that?
What is more godly than the humble avocado? Oh, dear.
Anything more hedonistic than that? Avocado with like tequila shot?
Well, last night I made myself a small martini.
Ooh, martini weenie.
Good. Well done.
An olive.
Teeny weeny martini.
That's right.
And that was completely enjoyable, is that hedonistic enough for you, or do you want me to admit to my heroin addiction?
I thought we would get there. The svelte figure, not on her own, I think everyone should know. Actual heroin addict, which helps.
Wow.
No.
Talk about fleeting.
Yes.
Exactly.
If we could only make it last longer. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sally. Wonderful. And off. Look at that.
Oh,
Wow,
and it went
that's
off over there.
Fantastic.
So you're listening to Let's Talk?
We're taking
415?
joy in the technical here. It's wonderful.
415-663-8492.
92. I have an echo. No, Charles has an echo.
Yes.
So there's this article. It starts off with this quote from Sylvia Plath.
Oh, boy.
She had a life filled with enjoyment.
She had a life full of enjoyment. And here is her take. Everywhere, imperceptibly or otherwise, things are passing, ending, going. There will be other summers, other band concerts, but never this one, never again, never as now, which is lovely, right? I mean, you're appreciating the moment of joy, the moment of pleasure. Next year I will not be the self of this year now, and that's why I laugh at the transient, the ephemeral. Laugh while clutching, holding tenderly, like a fool, his toy. Cracked glass, water through fingers.
Gracious.
She had to finish it.
There we go.
Had
Thanks,
to give it
Sylvia.
her own twist at the end.
Well, I think that's the reason I don't take pictures anymore, Stephen, is because there's this idea of the creation of permanence, and I think then you're not actually enjoying this contact with something, you're enjoying the documentation of your contact with something. So people are constantly going to these sites of great natural beauty or whatever it is, or maybe it's a party with their friends, and they're experiencing it through the camera, right?
That's why you don't take pictures anymore.
Yes.
It really doesn't have to be that way.
Well, it's just because I want to remember it and be,
right.
and hold on to those memories, or those memories fade. I had a terrible problem because I started making documentaries and my first subject was a beloved family member. And when that person died, you have hours and hours and hours of their footage of them, their face, their mouth, the way their voice, everything is there sort of unnaturally, preternaturally sort of, I couldn't just use unnaturally, could I? Preternaturally sort of preserved in this really weird way. And it was really, maybe traumatic is an extreme way of putting it, to go back and look at that footage. And ultimately, I just put it away. And I've never looked at it since.
Well, it doesn't have to be about capture, about making it permanent. Art can be a discovery process.
Yeah.
Waiting for an airplane. I mean, sometimes I don't mind if the plane's late. If I've got my camera, I have plenty to do. It's discovery. It's your eye. It's all about your eye.
Yeah.
Sure. And so I'm not saying this is for everybody, but I think it's curious. I mean, these are people not using film to take photographs, or whatever. This is everybody documenting all the time what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's now representing the experience of enjoyment is actually more important than any actual enjoyment itself. So showing people what you ate is more important than how much you enjoyed eating it. That it's eclipsing the actual experience of life as to the performance of the experience of life.
Well, and it's taking that fleeting moment of joy and making it a permanent thing. It will always be on the web now. That photo of your lasagna that you're about to eat will always be on the web.
It's really strange. I was at a sort of hipster restaurant in Petaluma a couple of, maybe a year ago. Yeah,
Oh,
I know.
a long time ago.
Oh, yeah. No, it was a year, and I was induced by someone else to go to this restaurant. I'm looking at everybody.
It had to be someone else.
Yeah, yes, dragged, kicking, and screaming. I'm looking at everybody around, and they all have sort of dressed up, to look sort of authentic and real and natural and whatever. And they're sort of on a date, right? Maybe they're at brunch with their significant other, and they're all looking at their phones, not looking at the. I was like, hey, if you don't want to talk to her, you can come sit here, and I'll talk to your date.
Well, that's not pleasure. See, I think pleasure, you have to get out of yourself to be. You can't think it into pleasure. It's about not thinking. I mean...
You can't get joy by striving for it.
Yeah, you can't say, well, I think I'll enjoy myself right now.
I'm going to enjoy myself right now. Although you can make the decision to do something that you enjoy doing.
Yes.
But there is a lack of spontaneity. People do think it is not time to have fun. I looked at my Google Calendar. Fun does not start until 5:36 today.
After work.
Yeah, whatever. But they're this obsessive control. So they're planning all of their fun, and they are disappointed if the planned fun doesn't happen. I did not get to go on the vacation. This is terrible. I like more spontaneity. And that's why I say, Stephen, let's go on a bender after this. We'll start at the senior center for the lunch and work our way across town.
So benders are enjoyable?
Oh, fabulous. What are you talking about? But only if it's spontaneous, not if it's on your Google Calendar. This is the weekend for the bender with my friends from college.
Certainly if you don't think about the consequences
Yes.
of the bender while you're on the bender.
Of course you don't think about the consequences. Anyway, 663-8492, enjoyment.
Well, one time that I really moved towards enjoyment was at the end of a relationship.
Fair enough.
So funny.
I finally throwing them out.
But it was it was a concerted effort to find enjoyment because I was so down. And I found the enjoyment in gardening.
Gardening, yes.
Yeah. In sprucing up my potted plants. And
So that was very deliberate, right? I mean,
it was very deliberate. Yeah. And it definitely helped. Yeah.
Charles, you haven't weighed in as to what you enjoy.
Well, I think the bender was...
Well, we did
I
get
see.
that. And I enjoy lots of...
Trampoline?
No, well, not anymore. Not since the incident. I'm not allowed back at the children's center. There's so much to enjoy, and it's so immediate here, right? So I wake up every day 10 feet from the bay with the window open, whatever. And that's easy. I have a very attractive cat, which comes and wakes me up as well.
a loner.
It is a loner cat, but the impermanence of enjoyment, I think, is something you emphasized. So, it's so easy to enjoy the quality of the physical beauty of nature in a place like this, and every day. I mean, I live basically like a billionaire. You'd have to be a billionaire to live like I live. Anything in between, and you're looking at your Google Calendar. But for me, I get to walk around Marshall every day, and have a schwitz, go to the sauna, and what's Paul doing there? Paul's van is here. He's clearly not occupied. I should go bother him. Or just participate in do whatever.
In community.
And read and whatever. So I mean, so many little things. And I mean, food obviously is huge too, which is great, especially if you can share it with other people. So I went over yesterday and I actually didn't, but I was supposed to have dinner with the neighbor yesterday. I didn't do it. So things like that I find very enjoyable. I think that to me, like the thing, like, well, Charles, that doesn't sound sufficiently grumpy. What's happened? It would be that, like, in the past, I think freedom was freedom to do things. And certainly if you grew up in the 50s and 60s and, of a certain generation, all kinds of experiences were cut off from people, things you weren't allowed to do, ways you weren't allowed to enjoy yourself, and experiences you weren't allowed to have. And so people of that generation, I get it, why it's so important for them to travel, why it's so important for them to do lots of different kinds of things that I don't think are in the contemporary world so related to enjoyment at all. They are more like duties that people have to fulfill. You have to experience life in a very particular way. So freedom today is freedom from. It's choosing the things that you're not going to do and not worry that you're not going to do them. So for me, one of those would be, like travel, which I very infrequently leave Marshall. I come down to Point Reyes, once, sometimes twice a week. And so they're guru. I mean, you could pay for this, but you could donate to KWMR instead.
You enjoy judging people.
Well, I enjoy trying to figure out what's going on.
I see.
And in order to figure out what's going on, you'd have to have a critical perspective on things. But it doesn't mean that, one, I value very much being judged by other people too. I mean, because we all have these blind spots.
It gives you an opportunity to fight.
No. Well, because we all have these huge blank spots in our understanding of ourselves.
Yeah.
And the only way that you'd get that is to have long-term, unbroken sort of contact and relationships with other people. You can't do this through play dates. You can't do this through, we get together on the weekend once a month. You'll never really know another person through that kind of contact. You have to do it by seeing people when they're down and when you're down and sharing that kind of thing. So, but it's enjoyment for me.
There is also, if you have, it used to be the poker night every Thursday, right? I mean, the guys that get together on Thursday night and have poker night.
Well, it's called King Pedro. There was actually a West Marin-specific game that the ranchers played, and it was at the William Tell. They would come and play Pedro or King Pedro, which is a little bit like euchre. It's a kind of a bridge type game. And that was a weekly event.
Yeah, so that can give joy, too. I mean, maybe, in that kind of context, you already know everybody anyway. It would be like your example of going on a bender with your friends, because you know your friends already, and then you get to see them in different ways. This is
sometimes states of undress. No.
This is KWMR 90.5 in Point Reyes Station, 89.9 Molinas, and 92.3 in the San Geronimo Valley. And this is Let's Talk Call-In Radio. Give us a call. I'm in a minute or so. And 415-663-8492. And let us know how you seek joy in your life, and do you need to seek it, or does it just happen spontaneously? Yes. Do you try to prolong it as long as possible? Maybe that's another show. KWMR is supported by our listener members and by the Dance Palace Community and Cultural Center, located at 5th and B Streets in Point Reyes Station. Member supported, the Dance Palace offers classes, events, and facility rentals for all the communities of West Marin. Membership information, volunteer opportunities, and schedules available at 415-663-1075 or online at dancepalace.org. And high-speed cable access services for KWMR are underwritten by Horizon Cable. Now cablecasting KWMR on television channel 47 in Point Reyes Station, Olema, Inverness Park, Inverness, and Dillon Beach. Online at horizoncable.com. And we're also supported by the Inverness Park Market. Information at 415-663-1491 or online at invernessparkmarket.com. We are also supported by Point Reyes Farmstead Cheese Company, offering handcrafted artisan cheese, including fresh mozzarella, Bay Blue, Toma, and Point Reyes Original Blue. The farm's culinary and educational center, The Fork, offers farm-to-table culinary experiences and is available for events. More information at 1-800-591-6878 or online at pointreyscheese.com or The Fork at pointreyes.com. And we have a backlog here. Susan Hayes also is a proud supporter of KWMR. Susan Hayes, purveyor of local and American-made artisan clothing, supports KWMR, offering hand-loomed wraps, scarves, and sweaters made in Point Reyes Station, as well as American-made and fair trade clothing and jewelry. Open daily at 4th and B Streets in Point Reyes Station in the Tamales Bay Foods Building. Online at SusanHayesHandwovens.com. And finally, KWMR is supported by our monthly members, our yearly members, and by West Marin Food and Farm Tours, offering culinary adventures in the Point Reyes area. Trips include local history, behind-the-scenes tours, and tastings of cheese, wine, oysters, grass-fed meats, pastries, produce, and more. Details available online at foodandfarmtours.com. That's foodandfarmtours.com. There, a plethora of underwriters. And those culinary adventures talk about enjoyment.
I saw Elizabeth Hill with her beautiful new baby girl just yesterday. The beautiful new baby girl has red hair, pronounced red hair, Mr. Phil.
Yes, they all do.
Would you like to...
No, that whole family now is a bunch of redheads. Even
you don't have anything to confess to?
Even their dog is a redhead.
Family, people getting together with their family, that's a great source of enjoyment.
Tell us about that.
Or not. Yeah. Thank you, Shelley.
Sorry.
Tell us about getting together with family and the joy that you receive from that.
Well, dinners, everyone comes, you gathering around a big table, good food.
Does anybody do... to me, it's like we do it so infrequently, right? I mean, you mean like twice a year? people.
Well,
do
that's
that.
the joy, isn't it? It would be for me anyway, if I had a family left, which unfortunately I don't.
But I mean, it's just that it's like a play date. It's just a special thing. You take a picture, and everybody is like, their blood pressure.
I don't think we should be
and-
on today.
Look, I'm not a Hallmark card, and you're just like, and we all gather around the turkey, and it's like,
See,
okay,
there you go.
Stephen. I mean, yeah, okay.
There you go. He shouldn't be on.
I think it's neurosis-inducing. Yes.
Well,
shouldn't be on.
as we said before, joy is different for everyone. The pleasures of life are different for everybody.
But it's a good point, because
There's working out, there's going on a bender, there's,
why am I
there's
stuck with
gardening.
that?
Oh, I don't know. There's gardening, and there's family. And for me, what would it be? My joy, the joy in my life is experiencing love. That's the wonderful thing that keeps me going. Yes.
Yeah, right. It's your host, Pot. I'm Kettle.
You know, I would say that I've just been sitting here thinking about this. I derive a great deal of pleasure out of my job here at KWMR.
Perfect.
And I'll tell you, it is because of the varied responsibilities. I mean, we've got stuff on the top of mountains that's affected by weather and nature. We've got individual people coming in, bringing all of their different aspects to this radio station. We've got this incredible staff. We've got our listeners. We've got all these cables and wires, and just putting this thing together I've gotten such great joy and pleasure from doing this work. And I was just thinking about that. I very rarely ever had a job that I didn't really enjoy. If I really didn't enjoy it, I would just stop and go find something else to do, because it's not worth it. But I do.
Not enough people do that.
I really enjoy work, and I've never had a plan. I didn't wake up one morning and say, "Oh, I'm going to be a ballerina," and like pursue my dream. I just have had things tossed at me left and right, and I've followed different forks in the road, taken a different turn, and had no regrets because of that. And here we are. So it's really fortunate to be able to do something that I enjoy so much. Really very fortunate. And it was not intended. I did not move to West Marin thinking, oh, I must be there. I was like, okay, we'll give it a try.
No, but you made the choices that brought you here, which is...
Right.
Yeah, I was very lucky. And also music gives me huge amounts of pleasure and joy just listening to the music. And it's not even a genre. It's just really fine lyrics, well-arranged pieces of music of all different kinds, and meeting people who are so creative and can create music. And this job is another aspect of it, is sitting in this particular room across from people who they are a conduit for this music that is just, it's just phenomenal. So there's so many parts of this that are interesting and enjoyable.
Yeah, and I think that's it. To be able to really, really enjoy the work you do in life,
Holy Grail,
is, the best way to go through life. And there's just not enough people that allow that for themselves. They get this mindset that, they're stuck in a particular job, and they just keep doing it, and they just don't seem to find any possible road out. And sometimes it can be put you in a position of struggle if you're trying to make a change. But I think it's worth it.
Well, I think there's even worse that people are expected to be cheerful about what they're doing, even if they feel trapped in it. You're supposed to say you like it, even if you don't.
And there is this, there is that sort of puritanical mindset that work is not there to be enjoyed. Work is something that we do in order to
be godly,
to be able to deserve time off when is the only time you can enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
But I've also had some jobs that were kind of weird, and I needed to do them because I needed to survive. I needed to pay my bills, and I was a janitor. I've cleaned people's homes. It's sort of almost as if I'm not too proud to do any job, but I'm going to try to find some pleasure in it. And if I can't, then I will work to switch to something different. But I'm not saying that I'm above any, I'm not above mopping the floor or any of those things, because I think sort of like work is, and labor rather than toil is commendable and should be celebrated on some level, and that there's always a way to find some pleasure in even the most mundane task, like cleaning these chairs and trying to get that one to not squeak. I can tell you, I've been extremely unsuccessful at making that chair not squeak. So there you go.
I guess we got to stop shaking our tail feathers.
Sounds like there's a wasp in the room extolling the virtues of labor. The fi and all that. I say, everybody quit your job tomorrow.
You can enjoy not having labor.
Well, no, actually, some of my favorite jobs are things that are really simple. I like being a dishwasher. It was great. And the dishes end up clean at the end, and it's one of my first jobs.
Well, you take a certain amount of pleasure in work when it's.
Depends on the purpose.
You said it was fortunate that you were able to be here and all that, but there are choices that are made. But you're fortunate to be in a position where you could make those choices and actually make them happen. That's the.
Well, and sometimes
the
it's also fortunate that you have the awareness to see the things that show up for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's possible to get stuck in, especially in the poor part of our nation, which is rapidly spreading everywhere, where there may be no other job but the most menial task, and hard to get find a job that actually gives you any kind of satisfaction at all, and just almost pays for the bills, that kind of thing. We're very fortunate to be able to choose.
415-663. Oh, I didn't even say it. The caller just appeared when I spoke. This new board has powers.
Yes.
Phone. Oh, it's phone.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello. Yes, you're on the air. Sorry, say that again.
It's Vikitsa, and I'm calling you again from my cell phone just to say that I really think it is a great thing to love what you do. And I've been doing the same thing for so long of making art and doing volunteer work. And I think if I'm going to wash dishes, I really hate washing dishes, and I love it when someone else does it.
Vikisa, I'll come over and wash your dishes someday. Just let me know.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, sure.
I'll make you dinner. Come.
Oh, fantastic.
Nice.
I've had a restaurant. I've cooked for people. I love to volunteer, and I'll do dishes at the Sweethearts of the Radio. I'll probably do the dishes if I have to, but I'd much rather serve the food to people, and I have those distinctions. But I love working for nonprofits, and that's another thing that I've made a lot of choices on, and I've worked for like the Dance Palace Camp for years, and for Gallery Route 1 and those kind of things. So I think there's a lot of different things to be thought about, but I totally tell young people that if you love what you do, you're going to be a happy person.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you said that, but I guess I'm reiterating it and trying to add in this other mixture of volunteering and working for maybe taking a lower pay grade for getting with people and doing things that are going to help them.
Yeah, wonderful. Giving to the community, a source of joy. There you go.
And that's really what I have to say.
Thank you, Vikisa. It's very nice.
Thank you, you guys.
Always nice to hear from you.
Bye.
Back at you.
415-663-8492. The conversation is about enjoyment. I would just say enjoyment probably doesn't have an ethical or moral dimension. What you enjoy probably doesn't contain any truths. So that would be my one criticism, Stephen, is that
He's criticizing me?
Oh, no.
Oh, no, just the idea. And I would say the same thing about beauty. It just is, and if it makes you feel good, then that's great.
Beauty,
but
for sure.
It doesn't have any truth in it, right? It's because knowledge is very often, maybe always, can be very unpleasant to learn new things and to see the world in a different way. It can be very decentering and destabilizing. So I think that would just be the one thing that oftentimes the things that we least enjoy are very important that we force ourselves to do. So I to, even to this day, and deal a lot with local governments. And there is a unique blend of a sort of lack of dignity, knowledge, and smugness that you encounter in people. And you're like, why am I doing this? Why are you talking to these people? Well, it's worth it. But it's not. It often can be very unpleasant. And sometimes it's great. But sometimes you're feeling of something, I'm not going to enjoy this, but I should do it anyway.
And we have another caller. Caller, you're on the air. What's your name, please?
Oh, I think it's Charlie Morgan, but let me check my ID.
Hi, Charlie.
Hi, how y'all doing? I'm glad you're on. I just read on the email about that your subject is enjoyment, and I realize that what I enjoy is when people are kind to each other, and I also enjoy the fact that Sherry and I are going to be able to hang in here and live here, because I just enjoy, when I'm walking around town, just stopping and talking to my neighbors.
Yeah.
It's a real simple thing.
That's right.
And
especially if they have great gossip.
Yeah.
It's a scandal.
Yeah, and it just is something that reminds me why I'm grateful that she and I can live here, because I get a lot out of that. It's nothing official. I don't have to have, my community passport stamped, or anything to talk to my neighbors. And I have to admit there are some people I avoid, not very many, but just stopping and yakking it up. And it's sort of a way of staying in touch with each other. It might be unofficial, but it still reminds us, even if it's a brief conversation, that we're all in this together. And I also don't mind, the enjoyment of going down to the BAR and, playing trivia with people. But also, it's pretty amazing how many jobs, which I'm actually seeking out in case anybody's listening, because some woman, said I was supposed to be able to charge on her account to do some work, and
Easy.
She hasn't done it yet. But anyway...
Let's have names, Morgan.
Yeah. Anybody but him. But anyway, just, simply that. I enjoy reading when people are kind to each other politically, which either is usually a scam or it doesn't happen very often.
Oxymoron.
Yeah, and they try to trivialize it with commercials on TV about being human and all that. But just you guys, you folks, and the sounds of your voices on the radio, and how you're sort of reaching out to try to get the community to talk to each other through your show. And I don't know. If we don't, like Ben Franklin said one time about the king, he said, if we don't all hang together, the king's going to hang us separately. And if we can, just keep being neighborly and have patience with each other and try to keep the judgment down. I mean, we're really lucky that we, live in this community, even though it has its flaws and limits people from being able to afford to live here. But I just wanted to mention that just walking down the street when Sherry and I secured a place here at Walnut Place, that how lucky I was that I could just talk to people on the street about this, that, and the other thing, and that gives me enjoyment. I mean, it gives me enjoyment to, write a song and play it for people and have them enjoy it, and it really gave me a lot of enjoyment, and I'm embarrassed about this, to know that Stephen is an artist. I had no idea at all.
Oh, you haven't caught his... he's had a couple of shows. And,
well, yeah, and
now you're in town. There's no excuse, Charlie.
That's right. Anyway, I don't know if anybody else is trying to get through, but I enjoy your show.
Hey.
There we go.
Thank you.
Right.
And the fact that you do it, and that all those years that KWMR didn't have a call-in show, and it's really pretty amazing that I don't know of one example. Not that I want to prompt some agent provocateur, but that you guys ever seem to have had to, write up one of those reports where somebody said,
Oh, yeah.
Carlin words. I don't know if you have.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we have.
Including one of our co-hosts.
Oh, man, I'll never do that again.
No, it was legendary. I think we should repeat the whole scene. It was so funny.
I've just revealed that I don't listen to every show you do. So
That's okay. That's okay.
I'm back into my hole. But anyway, I really enjoy your show, and I'm proud that we have a show like yours on the radio, and it really adds to the, if life is a golf bag, it adds another good club to the bag,
Wow.
Our radio station is hot, man. I mean, I listen to a lot of different radio stations, and anyway, it's just that. It's simply that I get to stop on the street and chat with my neighbors. And
Yeah.
Nice.
that gives me enjoyment, and so I'll get my big mouth off the air now. And
Thanks,
just thank
Charlie.
you once again for doing the show. And I just wanted to ask Stephen real quick, is Max doing any artwork?
A little bit, not a lot, but there is a big show coming up. I think the opening is this Saturday.
Huh?
Oh, wonderful.
Where is this?
GRO?
It's at Gather Route 1. It's a show probably from artists throughout the Bay Area. It's a curated show,
And how long is it going to be last? 'Cause-
usually for a month.
Oh, good. Yeah, because Sherry and I are flying up to Salem to visit her 91-year-old dad and move him into a 24-hour facility.
I just want to say this. I beat you and all your friends at trivia at the bar once, and I just want to let the record be known. Champion trivia player.
Well, bring your sorry butt back, son.
What I don't think you knew at the time is that I'd read all the answers in the Pacific Sun before you guys got
cheated.
there. What do you mean? I knew a lot of them,
An abominable
Yeah,
cheat.
right. Like they used to say on Rocky and Bullwinkle, eeny, meeny, chili beanie, the spirits are about to speak. Anyway,
Thank you, Charlie.
I'll let you go. Thank you very much.
Okay, man.
See you on the street. We can talk on the street.
That's right. All right, take care now.
Take care, Charlie. Charlie Morgan still here with us, which is great.
Well, and part of the joys of being not in Marshall but in town, because you can actually walk around on the street. But you do.
Charles
that,
walks
of course.
around
That's-
on the street all the
Yes.
time. I just wanted to say, I was thinking about this. I derive a great deal of pleasure from my dogs.
Oh,
Doggies.
now we're getting
You
to
know,
it.
I mean, I enjoy my relationships with my friends, my husband, my family, but there is just a true bond that I have with an animal companion. I mean, you talked about your cat a little bit, Charles.
Not
but,
my cat, loner cat.
Well, loner cat.
So why aren't your dogs with you now? Why can't we have some dogs just here around?
It's because it's not appropriate to have dogs in the studio.
Oh.
But I'll tell you that they're just such wonderful creatures, and animals, I think, are great. I love that we can see the animals out in nature and see hawks flying and hunting and egrets and
Those vultures eating that skunk. Do you remember that one? Yeah.
Even the vultures, sunning themselves on the poles, and the little baby cows. I mean, they're
I
so
know.
cute in the fields,
Everything's
and
so darn cute
when they're
out there.
babies, they're babies. But I just think there's something about just spending time with a pet,
A different species.
a different species. Yeah.
I see. Yes, a well-trained dog is a wonderful thing.
Well,
Like a well-trained garden.
Oh, but do you have a dog, don't you?
No.
Shelley doesn't have a dog. What about you, Stephen?
No, cat.
Cat,
We're
yes.
cat people.
Okay.
And I don't like my cat.
Oh,
Well,
I don't enjoy pleasure.
So Gail's cat, presumably?
She doesn't enjoy pleasure from me either.
Why do you keep this cat around? What's going on
He
here?
won't go eat. Well,
won't go away.
No. You have a cat.
keeps
You're
coming
in,
back. We
You're in
keep
it for the duration.
dropping him off.
It's not like when you have a pet. It's not like it's like a spouse.
you got to take it to the other side of the bay.
Wow.
They do have longevity that's shorter than us, though.
So there you go. So
My
you're
goodness.
given some enjoyment with the fact that the cat will die at
That's
some point
it.
before, yes.
Not that it's not forever.
Oh, gracious. Just let it out of the house. It's like coyotes can eat that thing in about 4 minutes.
I do, and they screams all day. That's part of the problem.
So we did a pet
We
show.
love the pets.
That
Yes,
was
we
rude.
did.
We have time for another caller.
We do. Do call in 415-663-8492. Tell us how you derive joy in your life. Even fleeting. Well, is joy, because it's fleeting, a much more pleasurable thing. There you are.
So I invented a Dylan Thomas quote last night, which we were not. I said Dylan Thomas had written that wisdom was a perception of joy, and then Paul and I looked it up. No record, because I made it up.
I said, "What does that mean?"
Maybe it's like a hot tub.
I'd say there's a lot of cynosure.
Inside joke, a little inside baseball there. Will Self fans at home will know.
We have another caller. Hi, caller. You are on the air. What's your name, please? What's up?
This is Colleen.
Karine, good heavens, where are
gracious. You? Maui.
I'm good. Yeah, we're good. But I was to say, I just enjoy Marshall. I've been listening to you guys a lot. And just the whole community is something, and I enjoy that. And I particularly like, I don't want to... Steve, I like you too, but I like Paul and Charles.
Oh, my darling Corrine.
Because you have so much interest. I mean, Charles, you have so many interests and so much knowledge. I really enjoy listening to your voice a lot, and it kind of sounds weird, but I do.
Well, Corrine, I do have another piece of knowledge. You love Marshall so much, I believe you're in Hawaii at the moment?
Yes. Well, we have to get away from the rain once in a while, but getting past rain is pathetic. It's been raining almost all the time we've been here.
Since you've been there, but tropical downpours are different from cold Marshall rain. Although it's beautiful here right now, you're missing some incredible weather in Marshall.
Oh, really? Wow. Well, we'll be back. We'll be back in 5 days. It's just, it's been nice to be away and enjoy, but it's kind of on my everyday life. I just enjoy nature a lot. That's probably why I like Marshall nature. I enjoy swimming in the water. I enjoy my garden. And just looking at water. I've been knowing here because we haven't been able to swim very much. Just sitting and looking at the water is like mesmerizing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your kind words, Corrine.
You are a person who actually enjoys the waters of Tamales Bay by actually going in them and swimming around in them.
Absolutely, yeah, and I miss that. I haven't been able to swim very much here because the waves are huge. It's just.
Oh, really?
And the other day I got caught in the undertow, and I was kind of, if you can imagine this, I was like a beach ball in the waves, just being tossed into the waves and tumbling on the waves, and probably looking absolutely ridiculous, but it was kind of fun in a kind of odd way. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Well, thank you, Karine. Have a wonderful time.
We will, and look forward to seeing you guys.
All right.
See you soon.
Thanks.
Thank you for including me.
Yeah.
Well, Corrine correctly pointed out that the source of enjoyment for anyone in West Marin is me.
Oh, boy.
Look at the time.
And look at the time. Before we go on to the Charles appreciation segment of the show.
Yes, the next 4 hours.
Another part of the reason for doing this show was, of course, because of another tragedy has occurred in Marshall. And we want to send our really sincere condolences to Elvira and to the folks at the Marshall store where tragedy has struck again. It's awful. So take as much joy as you can, I say.